Welcome to the Collaboration Culture Podcast. We will be starting the show in just a moment. Go ahead and love, tag, and share while you wait. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Collaboration Culture Podcast. My name is Kimberly Winborne. I am your host this evening. I am joined by two amazing people, Tony Jackson and Michelle Mitchell. Give me 1 second while I read their bios. So I'm going to start with Michelle, and I'm just going to skim it, okay? So she is a financial strategist and business coach. It's not too long, though. I don't want anybody to think that. And the CEO of Michelle Mitchell. She's started Mitchell Consulting nearly 11 years ago after spending years in corporate as a senior financial analyst. She's a bachelor's in accounting and 2 master's degrees. Okay. Michelle has always been ambitious and a high achiever. And so she's been a business and financial coach, mom, wife, and I'm excited to have her and for you all to learn a little bit more about her specialty, and what we can gain tonight in the area of finance from her. Now, these guys are a team, and if you aren't following their show, it's actually going to be airing tonight at 8 o'clock. So you can go on over after this, get you a little bit of food to eat, maybe enjoy some Taco Tuesday, and then go on over at 8 o'clock to watch and hear from them and learn a little bit more in the area of finance. Now, Tony, I've known for quite some time now. I don't know how long. I want to say about 4 or 5 years. But Tony is the real money coach, here to serve the community through financial education and leadership. And that is what I've always known him to do and be. He's a Michigan born and bred man. It seems to me like I keep meeting these amazing people from Michigan. And I tell anybody who's when I find out they're from Michigan, I let them know you're gonna love me. I'm gonna love you too. It's something in the water. I don't know what's going on. So he was a high school athlete, star, excelling in football, basketball, track. After graduation, he went to Western Michigan University on full scholarship, demonstrated great leadership, and took an attraction to numbers and accounting. So the passing of his mother shed light on knowledge, everyday knowledge that people should have about life insurance that we do not have. And I'm really looking forward to diving into that and talking about it. So his 24-year career as a financial expert was birthed by that experience, the death of his mother. We want to hear a little bit more about that. This is not work, but purpose. And so I want to once again introduce you to my two guests, Tony Jackson and Michelle Mitchell, the Real Money Coach. Is it a show or podcast? What should I say?
It's a show.
Yeah, I think it's a
Yeah.
show. It's a show.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
why we frame it as a show.
All right. So I want to find out, Tony, you said that this is your purpose, right? And so tell me about it, because so many people walk around through life and do not realize their purpose. And for you, it was sort of a traumatic moment that led you to that. And so you've been serving in this capacity as a result of that for 24 years. So can you tell us a little bit more about how purpose led you to what you do now?
Well, Kimberly, thank you for having me on the show and having us on the show. Just got a lot of mad respect for what you're doing and what I've seen you do over the years. I always joke because you were the person that said, you ain't on social media. What are you doing? I didn't even have a social media account when I first met you. And then finally I got one. But to the whole thing about purpose. And again, as you mentioned, I was 27 years old. My wife was expecting and my mother passed. And my mother had 6 life insurance policies and we discovered none of them would pay. And so, we're in the funeral home. I make eye contact with my uncle and told my dad that I'd pay for the funeral. I mean, I was out of school. Had a good job. Mary, Lisa had a good job. And so, and my dad just with tears in his eyes said, I won't let you do that. I won't let you pay for your own mother's funeral. So, we got to do better than that as people. And so that kind of made me realize that I thought they had it together. They thought they had it together. They had all this covered, right? But to find out we didn't. And I was like, how many more people out there are uneducated, right? Or just haven't been informed of those types of things. And so don't know what they have, don't know what they signed up for, the things coming in the mail. And that what really got me passionate about the life insurance piece. I was already into accounting. So, numbers had really been my thing since high school. And so, the combining of those two together, because I mean, that's how Michelle and I met. We met, we were both accounting majors, right?
Okay.
And you go through this whole accounting degree, but you never learn anything about personal finance.
Nope.
Right.
You learn about balance sheets and income statements, debits and credits and all that kind of stuff, but you don't learn anything about personal financial.
Absolutely.
And so that's kind of what birthed that whole desire to do that.
I love it. One of the things that you just said, I have to stop for a minute and just stay right there, is that we are not taught a lot of things that you would think you would be taught in certain classes. So like in an accounting course, for instance, you're not taught anything except for what you need to do in order to be able to pass that class, those classes, get that degree. But I have met so many accountants that have poor credit scores, that are drowning in debt, don't have a retirement or savings or anything set up, and they're like, I should know better. So how many times in life have we said that? Like, I should know better, but then we don't do better. We don't do better, right? But we should know better. So that's one of the reasons why, back to purpose, Tony, like I'm so passionate about consistently talking about finance. I'm so passionate about bringing entrepreneurs together, especially to make money. So then now you can't say I don't have any money, because y'all sat at the table with people who said I can't get a life insurance policy, I can't protect my family because I don't have any money. But now let me help you make some money so you could be a steward of it. And that's what this platform of, okay, somebody said, and we're afraid to talk about it and ask for help. And that's the real. We're afraid to talk about and ask for help. Now, whoever said that, tell me why you think you're afraid to talk about it and ask for help. Just tell me in the comments what you think about that. And then Michelle, I'm going to come on over to you and have you to answer that question. Why do you think that we're afraid to talk about money, finance, and ask for help?
We're afraid to be judged. And we're afraid to let other people know what we don't know. That's it. I see it every day. I talked to someone yesterday who has a business. They're making six figures. So six figures is not the magic number, people.
Mhm.
They're making six figures. And they said, how do you expect me to pay your fee when I don't have money to pay myself? Well, then
Right.
you really need to find some money to pay the fee so you can get some help out of your situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. We will drown in ignorance.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, we will
Yeah.
drown in ignorance because of a fear of being wrong. And this is one of the things that I
Yep.
talk about quite often. How many things in life do we just let continue to trickle down a rabbit hole of failure, of not living up to our own expectations just
Mhm.
because of a fear of some level of rejection, somebody telling you you should know this, which is a feeling of rejection, and so many other things. And so one of the things I want to do tonight, just to be clear, you all, this show is labeled Money Medicine Around the Table. And I wanted to have all month long, I wanted to have financial experts to join me around the table so that we can tackle this money problem. We can tackle these discipline and commitment problems. We can
Mm.
tackle the thing that actually needs to be discussed, back to what Kenya said, that we are afraid to talk about around the table. But more of us need to get around the table, get in community with one another, and get our dose of medicine. I don't mind personally. And I get paid to do finance. I get paid to coach, teach, mentor, all that stuff. But I don't mind giving somebody 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes of my time
Mhm.
in order to help them to be able to do something a little bit different if they're hungry. And so
Mhm.
that's what I know these guys are about too. So money medicine around the table is our subject for the evening. Please, if you have any financial questions, especially concerning wealth strategies, especially if you're a business owner, because Michelle is also a business consultant as well as myself. But how can you take the knowledge from us being here around the table, and after the end of this show, go out and do something different? As you guys know, I always talk about, we're born to win. We are not
Right.
born to lose. We are born to win. And so I want you to take that posture on this evening, because guess what? Like I said, you're around the table getting your dose of medicine. So be ready to get your prescriptions tonight, okay? All right, be ready to get your prescription. So generational conditioning. All right, now you about to
Yep.
have us talking about a whole lot that's not in my
Mhm.
questions. But y'all know how I roll. Been
Yeah.
told that we keep financial details private. Let's talk about that a
Right.
little bit, Tony and Michelle. Generational conditioning, and been told that we need to keep financial details private. What has that done for communities, but especially the African American community? Who wants to tackle that?
Well, let me tell you, I'll tackle a little bit here because, when we were growing up, when it was time to talk about money, that's when sent the kids out of the room.
Yep.
Okay, y'all go into the room. And
Right.
so,
Go take a nap.
we've been in this environment where we've done really, really, I mean, the fact, when I think about how much my parents made and that type of thing, how they did everything they did with the money they made is amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But we've missed
Yeah.
that. We've missed that lesson because it was taboo. And studies have shown this, that the generation that talks about money the least is the baby boomer generation.
Yep.
1946 to 1964, people born in that time frame. And because of that generation not wanting to talk about money, we've missed a lot of those lessons. And I
Yeah.
don't know, I'm just sitting here, and for some reason I thought about, we have these months, right? We got Black History Month,
Yeah.
February, Women's History Month is March, and
Yeah.
then financial literacy is April.
Yeah.
And you combine those things together and think about the power of the Black woman and how that mothers have held this thing together financially, because 70% of all households are head by Black female in the
Yeah.
African American
Yep.
community.
Yeah.
And we have got to start talking about the things that we don't want to talk about. We got
Absolutely.
to start to open up and say, okay, this is the real deal.
The
We're going
real
to keep it
deal.
100, and we're going to talk about these things.
We have to insist. We have to insist that these conversations are being had around the table, because we all have lived the fact that we know we're not getting taught these things in school. You just said both
Mhm.
accounting degrees didn't get taught the basics
Nope.
or the things around personal finance in college. So what if we're not passing it down, then our children are just gonna be in a worse off situation. And I believe I think it was you, Tony, or either Michelle, just a moment ago, was talking about the six figures. It was you, Michelle, the
Yes.
six-figure goal. And so that's the whole thing about looking at the grass that and thinking that it's greener too on the other side. Because I've worked being in credit repair for years. I've
Mhm.
worked with people's accounts that were millionaires, but not according to the debt that they had. And they were
Right.
drowning to keep their businesses, they were drowning to keep their homes, their
Yes, sir.
cars. But we're looking at those Jaguars and those all of that stuff and saying they are living the life, but they
Status.
are dying inside trying to
Mhm.
keep up. So Leslie, you look like you're about to jump out of your seat, Michelle. What you got? What do you have to add to that?
What I have to add to that is that we are trying to maintain our status
Yeah.
and not our bank account.
Yeah.
Because if people looked at your bank account instead of your status, then that might have a little bit more meaning. But because we keep things so close to the breast and we don't share with others, the only thing we can do is show what we have,
Yeah.
you know? And I think that's a detriment to our community. Because I'm like, are you saving your money? Like, are you getting a tax refund? Taxes are due in 10 days. Are you getting a tax refund? What's your plan for the money?
Mm-hmm.
What's your
Hmm.
plan?
Yeah.
Just have a plan. Did you hear about the young lady who had who got the $1,200 stimulus check? And she has turned that $1,200 into a $1 million business.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Oh yeah, I
Yes.
think I
Have
saw
you
that on
heard
the news.
Yeah.
on
Yeah, yeah,
Instagram? Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. So, what is your plan? And that's what Tony and I try to do every Tuesday night is to help people figure out what their plan should be.
What are
And
you going to
me
do?
as a business coach, I'm trying to help business owners figure out what their plan should be. Because if you pay
Absolutely.
attention to it, that's what's going to grow.
Absolutely. The plan grows. But okay, so
Yes.
let's take a step back for a minute. Um and let's talk about, so I talk about God in everything that I do in my business. And I want to dive into this plan scenario, because this isn't new. Right?
Right.
Mm-mm.
Like, we know we need a plan for so many things in our lives. So why wouldn't one of the main things that's going to help us to be able to leave the legacy? Because how many people watching have said to themselves about any situation in life, I wish I had known then what I know
I
now,
know now.
or I wish I
Mhm.
would have known and I wouldn't have done that. All right, so just if that's you, you can raise your hand in your own little space. So the way that we get over that hurdle is by saying it, admitting it first, right?
Mhm.
Defining the thing that we want and then going out and getting it. So why is it then that so many of us still repeat these habits of doing the thing that is not going to achieve the goal that we wish to achieve? Okay, so you answer that for yourself, you all who are in the audience. Why is it? Because we do not have a plan. And
Right.
why don't we have a plan? What is our, I'm going back to fear. What is our fear? And God does not give us a spirit of fear, but of sound mind. So where can we find this
Mhm.
sound mind? In people like Tony, in people like Michelle, in people like myself who are in finance and consistently doing this thing. So let me ask those who are watching, are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Is this your year to take a hold of the access that you have to the seed that is before you, the access that you have to the planning and the planting, so that you can do something different in your finances? And if you're ready, you want to take all this information down and scrolling across the screen, right? You want to get the Debt Detox book, and then in a moment we're going to talk about Tony's book as well, right? You want to take this information down and no longer say, I don't have a plan, I don't have access to the information. Now I'm off my tangent. we're gonna get back to our day.
It was a good tangent. It was a good tangent.
Good. I'm excited. Go ahead.
We need to just put amen in the corner on that. Somebody say amen in the chat on that. So
I'm excited. It's Financial Literacy Month. It's obviously something all year round. Tony, it's new. It started in Atlanta, but it's Black Women's History Month. So not only we just had Women's History Month, now April is also declared as Black Women's History Month. So any Black women that are out there, if you couple Black Women's History Month with financial literacy and you make some plans, some declarations, some affirmations this month, what will the rest of your year and the rest of your life look like? Right?
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yes.
And I would suggest to your audience as well is to gain the first thing you need to do is gain some clarity. Gain some clarity about what you want. What do you want? Not just what I hope and dream for. What do you actually want?
Yes.
Are you really saying write the vision? Is that
write
really
the vision?
Write the vision
and make it plain.
Right? So those two go together, right?
Yeah.
So you can't write the vision and be cloudy. You got to write the vision and make it plain.
Right.
Make it plain.
And make it plain so they who read it can run. And who needs to be reading it, Michelle, more than you?
You need
write
to be
your
reading
plan
it every
and you
day.
read your plan.
Right.
Read your plan.
And for couples out there, so let's talk a moment about that. Write the vision, make it plain. I believe that hopefully this comes out the right way. Marriage should be looked at as a union of two business partners in the sense that you are writing the vision and making it plain for your legacy. And so sitting down and having that financial plan so both of you can see it. What are you all's thoughts about couples that do not plan together? Because I know the statistics, but can you speak to cases or different scenarios of couples who didn't work together and how that worked for them and or didn't?
Well, I really believe in having the money date.
Yes.
And dating your money. And when you do that, it's more than just talking about, the money, and it's about the lifestyle too. When you're talking about and you're sitting down as a couple and you're thinking about, your life together, not only, and we understand the grind, right? When you got young kids and you're working and you're doing all this, but what do you want retirement to look like? If one person's vision of a retirement is different than another, we got to bring that together. And that's why we really like things like disc profiles and that type of thing. So we can really talk about who we are, how we handle money, how is my personality type. If I'm a high I, then I like to party. I like to give gifts. I like to do this. But if my mate, my spouse is a high C, they like to plan everything out. And so, you got to kind of figure out your personality types and how you can work together. But I think it's how you handle the money is indicative of how you're going to handle everything else in the relationship. And
absolutely.
I think that's a very important part of it with couples. And, Michelle, she's been married for a long time. She's been married.
Too.
Yeah.
That's another.
So the story is, Michelle and my wife were roommates in college.
Okay.
And so they're going to celebrate their 30-year anniversary in June. We'll celebrate our 30-year in July. Yes. So we've been married. We had this marriage thing for a long time, and money, right?
And money, yeah.
Marriage and money.
Marriage and money.
I love it.
And let me just tell you, for the couples that have opposites, like my husband and I, we're opposite. Like I got a degree in accounting, so money and numbers are important to me, but for him, not so much. So it has taken us a lot of years, and I just want to give some young couples some encouragement, because over the years you do come together. But in the beginning, there's turmoil about it. You're not on the same page. And to me, that's kind of the definition of marriage, because you got to be able to work it out, right? And money is so critical and important to your family and your family's legacy, that is worth it. It's worth it for you to figure it out. So I just want to give some
Absolutely.
couples out there some encouragement that you can do it, because it was a struggle for my husband and I. But over time, we stayed with it because we stayed committed to each other. We
Mhm.
have been able to work out the money issues in our relationship.
That's
And we
so
got to think. We
awesome.
got to think about too where we learned about money and what type of
Mhm.
baggage we bring in
Mhm.
Yes.
terms of how we saw money being dealt with in our homes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because you could come from two completely different environments, and people say, well, money. Our show is called The Real Money Coach, right? And I
Right.
remember
Mhm.
someone emailed me and said, "I don't like your show because all you talk about is money." I'm like, you realize the show is called The Real Money Coach, right? But here's the thing: if you, we have to stop pretending like money's not important.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It is, and you can ignore it if you want, but it is important.
It
Yeah.
And,
absolutely
and
is
so you better
important.
have the conversation,
Yeah.
and you better
Mhm.
talk to each other and talk to your money, or you'd be wondering where did my wife go and where did my money go, right?
Right. Exactly.
They'd be
Absolutely.
both gone.
Yeah.
And that's the
So it's
thing,
important.
it's very important. And I think one of the things in many communities why people don't talk about it, it's just those words are so massive to think about, because many people have a hard time planning for tomorrow or
Right.
planning for dinner at 8 o'clock in the morning. So you're talking about planning a legacy, something that many people have never seen, have never touched, have not gotten
Mhm.
anything passed down but bills, you know, and that it's so big. Legacy seems so big. Retirement, people laugh. Like when
Mhm.
you talk about retirement, it's like, oh, is that real? Like I'm people
Right.
supposed to retire.
I
So I
you
think
hear people
because
say
it
that all the
seems
time.
so big, it's hard for people to grasp. And so I want to talk about that for a second. I want to read this comment really quickly, make sure we don't miss anything. I understand doing something different, but also feel like the BIPOC community is not adequately supported when it comes to salaries, opportunities, and knowledge, such as investments, credit, etc.
Mhm.
Excuse me. I can agree, and I can agree to that. And I think culturally, I think across the board, the BIPOC community, but we're just not taught the stuff in schools. But we're
Right.
not sitting around the table talking about stuff that other cultures are talking about because we have not been exposed to it. And so therefore we're more ignorant in that particular space. I saw Michelle jump a little bit, so I'm gonna let her, I don't want to take over, so I want to
I be
let
giving
her
away
complete
my
the talk. Say it again.
I said I'd be giving away my thoughts.
Yes, you do. And I read body language. I got a whole degree and stuff in it. So go ahead.
No, I just like for people out there, yes, what you said was true. But also a lot of times we as humans, we put emotions into money.
Yes,
Mm,
And
yep.
let's just take the emotion out and use money as a tool, because that's what it is. It is
absolutely.
a tool for you to use to get the things that you want and need in your life in the future. So use it as a tool. Let's take out the emotions about it. And yes, there is inequality. But what I want to say right now is you can create your own table.
Absolutely.
Right. Right.
Absolutely. And that's one of the questions that I did want to ask, because we're on this very subject. Do you think Black people in America have a harder time with long term vision and delayed gratification? If so,
Mhm,
why or why not?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
mhm,
100%. And there's a lot of reasons why. We want to look like we're winning. But the objective is not to look like you're winning, but to actually win.
Yeah,
mhm,
And so and Michelle talked a lot about status, and we have this status anxiety that we want to wear the best, look the best. And I think some of it goes back to the fact that for so many years we had to do without, right? So
mhm,
yeah,
we did without these things. And so as soon as we now have them, now we want to enjoy those things and not, regardless of the cost,
mhm,
regardless of the cost. And so I think we don't have, and we don't teach delayed gratification because, and it's not about talking about it. It's about demonstrating it. It's
Mm-hmm.
about demonstrating. And if we don't demonstrate it, because a lady told me once, and I always remember this, she said, it was after my first sermon I ever preached. She said, son, I'd rather see a sermon than hear one.
Oh, that's
See,
good.
that was so profound.
That's good.
And that stuck with me forever because people are watching, our kids are watching.
Yep.
My little grandson, I talked about this at the book launch. He was like, my daughter's buying a house, and he figured this out. He's hearing the conversation. No one's talking to him. So he says, so if you rent and you move out, you got to give them money. But if you own your house and move out, they got to give you money. He said, I don't ever want to rent.
Mm-hmm.
And he's six.
And he's 6.
He's 6 years old.
Yeah.
But he's listening and watching to the things in his environment.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I think that's part of it is we have to practice. Gandhi says you need to be the change that you want to see in the world.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same thing when it comes to delayed gratification.
Yeah. Because, delayed gratification sounds like you cussing somebody out, right? Like people are so used to getting what they want that it's very offensive to say, well, just wait a little bit. Like, why? Why do I need to wait? You think about traffic. Everything in life these days is rush, rush, rush. I got to have it right now. I got to have it right now. And so to tell somebody, just delay some gratification, it's a mindset shift. But once that shift happens, it's powerful. So one of the tools, back to money is a tool, there are also mindset tools that I think as financial planners, advisors, coaches, mentors, that we need to share with folks in order to meet them where they are so that they can grow to that mindset of winning and being able to grab a hold of those big words like legacy and retirement. What are some practices that you all implement, whether it's on the show or in your practices, when it comes to that person who says, I cannot see beyond today. I don't have this, that, or the other in order to implement what you're telling me I know is great, in order to help them to shift their mindset to be able to achieve. Michelle, let's start with you.
Yeah. So I see this a lot, especially with working with business owners who want, at the beginning of the year, you set these lofty goals and, I'm going to make $1 million this year. I'm like, but have you made 100,000?
Right.
But it's not to say you can't make $1 million this year, but how do you want to work? So one of the things that I help my clients with is let's just focus on the next 30 days.
Yeah.
And then we're going to celebrate every day. Every day.
Yeah.
Every day is a win.
Yeah.
Every day is a win that you stayed on track. You did what you said you were going to do. Yep. It was a win. Yes. So let's celebrate in the moment the wins instead of looking so far out all the time, and just shorten it and say, what can I win at this month? And focus on that. And then every day that you do it, it is a win. It's a celebration. I start every meeting with, what are you celebrating today?
That's good.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's
what about
good.
you, Tony?
Well, again, I think we really have to start to deal with the mindset. And I think sometimes what we have to do is we're going to unpack what was your first recollection of money? And because what happens sometimes is that we self-sabotage ourselves.
Absolutely.
Because we get so far. I mean, how many times have we've done that? How many times have you started saving? You have this savings goal and you get right there, right? You're right there. Let's just say it's $1,000. You're at 900 and something happens and you go and you spend that money. And sometimes it's really kind of self-sabotage because of our belief system around money. Yeah. So sometimes we got to peel that back and understand this is why I feel the way I do about money.
Absolutely.
Now I deserve, and sometimes we don't think we deserve it. Yeah. Sometimes we don't think that we deserve to be wealthy and healthy. We think, we bought into the fact that we don't deserve it, but we do. We deserve everything that God has for us, right?
Yes.
And everything God has for us, I want it. I want it. And
Because it's available.
It's available.
It's available to you.
The harvest is
It
plenty.
absolutely is.
Yeah.
It absolutely is available. But like you said, if you don't believe it, if you don't ever see it for yourself, then it's hard to grasp that it is. But back to what you were saying, God gave us so much out here to access, and there's abundance for us. And one of the things that, Tony, you just made a great point. One of the things that I learned along the process, and you have the book in my workshop, is a forgiveness. The first step is forgiveness. It's a reconciliation, like letting go of the financial mistakes that you can't go back and change. But from today forward, you can do something different. And one of the things I say further along, pause. If you're still thinking about that stuff that you said that you were letting go of, pause, because we got to go back to day one so that you can get over that hurdle, because it's going to hurt you long term. You're going to begin, yourself is going to begin to say, you can't do this. You can't do that. You can't win. Who do you think you are? And that'll eat at you. And so I love that you just said that. I love that you just said that.
His mercies are new every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
That's why affirmations are so important too.
Absolutely.
You talk a lot about that in your book. It's just having these positive affirmations.
Yeah.
And I love what Michelle said about celebrating the wins, because what happens is we'll win, but we're so focused, we're moving on to the next thing. We don't take the time to celebrate the wins that we have.
Big or small too.
Yeah. Big or small. Everything.
Yeah.
So,
I had a friend, and she would get on people's nerves because of the fact that she was just a celebrator. When she walked in a room, she just lit up a room. She was just like, I'm here. I'm ready to whatever it is. And people don't like that. Some people love it. Some people would be so offended by that. And her memorial service was this past Sunday, and people were sharing all the different stories. And it was funny because I've experienced that too, where she would just walk in a room and be so bubbly and loud and all that stuff, and it would get on somebody's nerves. Well, we have to be like that about ourselves. We have to be unapologetically, I am winning. I am going to win. I am here in this room. I'm here to serve. I'm here to, and show up for ourselves. But why is it that we don't do that? Tony, you like you about to say something. Go ahead.
The other thing I think too is sometimes we don't celebrate others. Because I think, we have to celebrate ourselves and celebrate others. And when you are confident in who you are, when you're confident in what God has done in your life, when you're confident about where you're going, it makes it easy to celebrate other people's success. So I think it's really when you find someone who's not willing to celebrate other people's success, you're looking at someone that really does have the confidence and all the things that they need to continue to maintain their own success, because I can celebrate. If I see you doing well, man, that lets me know that I can do well too, because he's no respectful person, right? So, and then a rising tide raises all ships.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I think that's an important part of it too, is not celebrating others and celebrating yourself and what
absolutely
you're doing.
It's so important. I want to ask you, Tony, while you have the floor, can you tell us a little bit about the book? We're talking about my book. I want to hear about your book, and I'm gonna put up the ticker so people can see where to get that. Tell us a little bit about it. What can we expect?
All right, so Increase, Protect, and Dominate Your Money, just released in February. Man, God is so good. It's been an awesome journey and experience. In the book, what you'll find is it really starts with financial education, starts talking about debt and budgeting and these type of things. Each chapter of the book starts with a story, a true story, where it emphasizes the lesson of that particular chapter, whether we're talking about taxes and creating tax-free income, or we're talking about creating retirement, or whatever that chapter happens to be about, there's a story in there to emphasize it. And it's kind of the same thing, teaching in parables, right? We hear these stories that then emphasize the point.
Yeah.
So that's what you'll find there. It'll just walk you right through the whole process of, increasing. And really that title, because most financial advisors are kind of locked in on increasing, right? AUM.
Yeah.
The more your money they have, the more they make. And then, Kimberly, you've been in insurance. You've been around insurance agents that are, they're policy peddlers, right? They're just pushing policies on people.
Yes.
And so you have these two financial professionals that kind of operate in their own silos. They don't talk to each other. They don't like each other. But we understand when we can get those two things to work together, increasing our money and protecting our money, now we begin to have dominion. So rather than reacting to what's happening on Wall Street or reacting to what's happening on Pennsylvania Avenue, now we become, and now we're in control. And so that's really ultimately what the book is about.
I love that. And, I want to talk a bit about that too, just the financial strategies, wealth strategies around even products like life insurance that many people do not understand or know. And when they find out, they're like, why didn't I know this all this time? Because we're presented, I know I was, when the life insurance man or woman came to the house when I was a kid, it was to sell a death benefit policy. The focus was death. When you die, you need to be buried. You might want to leave a little change to pay your bills potentially, or, that's what the focus was. Maybe some medical bills. It was never about what it could do. And I know policies have too changed over time, but now that they've changed, the conversations often are still just the death portion. And so let's talk a little bit about life insurance. Let's talk a little bit about the fact that it can help people in various circumstances to build wealth strategies. So between the two, whoever wants to start, let's go to you, Michelle, since we haven't heard from you in a couple minutes.
So life insurance, so I at one point in my career, I did have a life insurance agent license. So do know a little bit about life insurance.
Yeah.
But life insurance, when you get it early enough, right, builds up value. And that value can be tapped into. I'm coming from a business perspective, right?
That's what I wanted.
So if you're getting ready to start your business and you got a life insurance policy that you've been paying into, you can tap into that money like tax-free to help you start your business.
Yes.
So why not? But first you got to have the policy. Right?
Did you know?
Did you know?
Did you know?
Which is where Tony comes in. Like he can tell you the different types of policies that you can get. And the younger you get them, the better.
Yes.
Which people don't understand.
Time value of money. It's
time
the time value of money.
Yeah.
I mean,
but also health as well.
Right.
You never know when the doctor is going to give you an order that you will not be able to qualify for life insurance policy anymore. So the younger you get it, the better.
Yeah. So let's give a dose of medicine here, Tony. So what are you giving to us?
Well, and one of the things I wanted to address is the fact that that these policies are different, but the concepts have been there. I mean, we often talk about Walt Disney using cash value life insurance because he went to 50 banks and said, "Hey, I want to start this amusement park." 50 banks, no one would give him the money. So he got out of life insurance. In the first year, 1 million visitors to Disney World. And, we have other examples, Ray Crockett with McDonald's. We got Stanford University, life insurance kept them going during the Great Depression. And so this isn't something that's new. It's been utilized for a lot of years to help us in some of the areas that we're talking about. And like you're mentioning and Michelle's mentioning, it's more than the death benefit. It's more than just the fact that when I die, there's going to be some money there. And quite frankly, we're not doing enough of that. I mean, we've done a seminar called, GoFundMe Ain't Life Insurance, and realizing that there's 125,000 GoFundMe started every year to cover funeral expenses. And,
So true.
so just having even the basic life insurance to cover the burial is important, but to utilize it in these other things like creating tax-free income, creating a buy-sell agreement. Do we know that most Black businesses don't make it to the second and third generation? It's because grandpa's working in that business. He can't afford to retire. And son, grandson, granddaughter, they don't have the money to buy it. You can use life insurance as a buy-sell agreement. And so that business stays in the family for generation after generation. So we stop starting in the basement of our financial life, and now we're starting on the third floor. We're starting in the penthouse. That's really
Absolutely.
what. And life insurance is the one thing that you can spend pennies on a dollar to create generational wealth.
Yes.
Generational wealth.
Absolutely. Yeah, and people don't realize, and you said it a moment ago when you were talking about Walt Disney, people don't realize that a lot of these successful people that we see today, that it seems like they have an empire in their families, it is as a result of understanding the power of life insurance years and years and years ago, that they were able to create generational wealth, that they were able to buy land, invest in businesses, all of these things, and then pass that down, get trust, all of these different things that started with that policy and that education and information. And so now we're trying to share this education and information, but people continue to run from it. They continue to run from it. And so it is a goal of mine personally. It has been for a while. And sometimes I beat myself up about the fact that I get distracted, but it is a goal of mine for more people, especially women. Sorry, Tony, but my mom was a single mother, but because she was the reason why I got into finance. But to be able to share that there is hopefulness in finance, there is an opportunity to send your child to college and it be paid for if you begin to plan early, where you don't think that there's any possibility for some of these things because you've never had access to it. It didn't happen in your life, so you don't see that it could be possible. It is by just getting some financial literacy. Which is what this is all about. Financial literacy is not just two cute words that financial folks put together in order to say it all year long. It's actually a thing. It's a thing, right? It's like getting up in the morning, listening to your favorite music, going downstairs, getting a cup of coffee, drinking your coffee, having your oatmeal or whatever it is, that comfort, that sustainability. That's what it is. It's an opportunity to get the good for your life. And so I'm very passionate about that. And so I'm always excited about Financial Literacy Month, and plan to take some different steps moving forward in order to talk a little bit more about this side of business more regularly. And so I want to ask you all, there are a lot of things that in the communities we leave on the table. There's a lot of stuff that we don't know. There's a lot of stuff that we wish, even the three of us, that we knew earlier.
Absolutely.
Because we would have done something different, right? So what do you think is the most important financial tool that many people leave on the table or don't know about or understand that will ultimately be a legacy booster? Is it what we were just talking about, or is there something else? And I want to start with you, Tony.
Well, I think really the number one thing is budgeting. I think that is the number one thing that we leave on the table, is that we don't have a spending plan. We don't have a spending plan. And it is hard. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, it's hard to have a plan, stick to it. You fall off, you get back on it. But I think that's really the foundation of it, is the proper management of your current assets and your current income. Because once you start tracking where your money's going, you'll start making some differences. And I quote that in the book. It's like, if you don't tell your money where to go, you'll be asking it, where did it go? Right. Where did it went?
Where you
And
go?
yeah, where to go? Where, you look
Yeah.
back, and especially this time of year, you get your tax return and you're like, man, I got to report all this income. Where did that,
Yeah.
where was that income? And I think
Yeah.
that's where what you guys do in terms of business coaching with business
Mhm.
owners and what we do with individuals is so important, is to start that process, start there.
Yeah.
You can't have the Fred Sanford, right? I grew up watching Fred Sanford, right? You can't have this drawer when the bills come, you just throw in it and you don't look at them. I
Right.
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
we got to pay attention. We have to be conscious and purposeful in what we're
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah, and it's a power tool that I think many people don't really realize how powerful it is, how it helps to decrease anxiety. So for our mental health and emotional
Oh
health,
man,
it
you
Mhm.
haven't
helps to
said nothing but
decrease
a word.
anxiety. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a form of self-care.
Mhm.
Having a budget is a form of self-care, because when the gas prices go up, I was talking to a couple people about this through posts or what have you. Like, when the gas prices go up, if you're on a budget, you're able to reallocate, you're able to shift some things around, and now you have more power. But if you don't, you may panic, you may
Mhm.
be in sort of a tizzy. Nobody wants them to go up, nobody's excited about it, but if you have a
Right.
budget, you're not panicking, and so it really does make a big difference in our lives. People call it the GPS. It's our guiding principle security. It really helps us to be able to have that security, especially ladies
Mhm.
out there who want security, who that's the number one thing you say when it comes to, somebody said, what is it that you really want in a man? Security. Well, we can create security from a budget. So that's one of the first
Yeah.
things couples need to, really get together. So I want to go to Michelle, and can you add some value to the power of the budget?
Yeah, the power of the budget, like if you're telling your money where to go, one of the other things that's on the table that you don't know that's on the table is creating your own table. To
Yes.
me, that
Yeah.
is starting your, I don't care who you are, but if you got a side hustle, you
Yeah.
are no longer on a fixed income,
Mhm.
because when you are an employee at a job, they tell you what your income is going to be, right?
Mhm.
On your side hustle or your new business, your income can be whatever your need is.
Limitless. Yeah.
Mm.
It's limitless.
Yeah.
That's on the table. And some people say, well, everybody is not really cut out to own their own business,
Mhm.
but you're cut out to own your own next stream of income.
Yes.
Everybody's cut out to do that.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
that is on the table, if you have a passion about something,
Yeah.
it could be dog walking. It could be finance. It does not matter what it
Yeah.
is, but if it's a side hustle, then it's in addition to your
Mhm.
fixed income.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So
And
you can stretch that dollar. And when the gas prices go up, oh, I got another form of income over here. I just need to do it a little bit more. Right.
absolutely. Yeah.
And then there's the tax savings for
Exactly. I was
having
just
that.
gonna say you got the
The
tax
tax
savings.
savings for having that little
Yeah.
side hustle. So
Yeah.
maybe you're not in it to really make a whole lot of money, but if it's in your home, like there's some deductions that you can take that will
Yes.
reduce your taxable income. So
Absolutely.
everyone, to me, that's on the table.
Yeah.
So figure out what that is. That comes in that, that clarity piece that you're trying to get so that you
Yeah.
can write that plan.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on. Where are your gifts? Where are your talents?
So, I mean, that was
Put it
kind
to
of like
work.
a double whammy. So you start a business, and this is one of the things that I like to share with, because I've been an entrepreneur for almost 21 years, right? So for me, it's such an opportunity for people to take something that you love, potentially
Mhm.
something that you're good at doing. You're just giving it to people for Christmas as gifts, and put it on an Etsy or something and be able
Yes.
to make
Right.
money from that, or even not even producing anything. I know people that never touch products, but they're selling e-commerce, and they
Mhm.
have, six-figure businesses, and they never touch the product. They're just doing the back end things. And so one of the things I want to add to what you just said, Michelle, is the fact that not only is there a tax deduction, but that also helps to eliminate debt. And
Yes.
Yes.
so because you're bringing in more money into your household from that side hustle, you're
Mhm.
also eliminating debt. So that's why I said it's a double whammy. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, high five twice, because you're bringing in more money to eliminate debt, but you also have more of a tax benefit, which helps
Mhm.
to eliminate debt and
Eliminate.
keep money in your household. So for
Yes.
those who say, I ain't even trying to start no business, I don't want to sell, it's not always about the selling. It's
Right.
about the gift. Are you sitting on a gift? And I can, that's one of those financial tools that I think I would share, that, in the question, that I wish I could have told more people earlier. Don't
Mhm.
sit on your gifts, because your
Yes.
gifts can make room for
Room
you in
for
so
you.
many spaces, but especially financially, especially for your children's college fund, your household, getting that house, getting the car of your dreams, whatever it is, it makes room for you. So Tony, back to you, sir.
Yeah, so you're all over it really, because one of the things, even in the tagline of my book, is retire debt free, tax free, and stress free.
Mhm.
If we can
Yes.
go into retirement, no mortgage, no debt, none of those things, how does that change the quality of your retirement if you
Right.
don't have those things? Or how does it change the quality of your life even to do that before you so-called retire?
Mhm.
Yes.
And so when you're talking about starting your own business, your own side hustle, now you can adjust your W-4 so that you're getting more in your check because you got the write-offs, and now that creates
Right.
more money for you to accelerate your debt
Yeah.
elimination. And then when the
Yeah.
debt is eliminated, now you got more disposable income for investing, and it just really just snowballs into
Mhm.
this wonderful situation that you have now. You can do some of the things that you want to do, and we all have this financial freedom date that we're shooting
We
for,
do.
right?
Yeah.
When are you going to be financially free? What is financial free? No debt, and when my residual income is more than my living expenses.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's what we're
Yeah.
shooting for. That's
Right.
retirement.
That's retirement.
That's
Right.
retirement,
That's
right?
retirement. Yeah. And retirement is living. And so that's the thing I think, we need to talk about when we're talking to people about their long term goals. How do you want to live when
Yes.
you don't have to work this job that you've been working for 25 years or however long? Or how do you want to live when your children are grown and, having their own families, and you don't have, you're an empty nester? How do you want to live? What is it that you want to be able to do if something were to happen to you and you are no longer able to take care of yourself? What is that long-term solution that you would like, so that nobody's suffering when it comes to your care? I think that's the thing. And that's why I was so turned off in the beginning when it came to life insurance as an agent, because the focus was death.
Right.
Mhm.
It was so much so death, and I was like, but what about life? How do I want to live, and how can this help more people to understand how we can actually live by taking account of the education that we can access to
Yeah.
use these products to our advantage? And Tony, you said a word a moment ago that I hear all the time when people
What's that?
talk about what do they need, what do they need? Investments. Somebody teach me about investments. Somebody tease me about investments. But you don't want to talk about the things that it takes to really truly be able to set that financial fortress over you and your family, which is the budgeting, the saving, all of those
Right.
things.
The
Investment,
foundational things.
The
Yeah,
the
the
foundation.
foundational
foundation.
things.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
All
like,
of it goes together.
you gotta build the foundation first so that that foundation's solid before you can really talk about investing. It's a hierarchy, right?
It
Yeah.
is.
And so you move up that hierarchy. But you brought up a couple things in terms of needing long-term care or needing those type of
Yeah.
things. And that's a way to protect ourselves from even the spend down process if we ever needed that type
Yeah.
of thing. Is there's also long-term care insurance, there's life insurance with living benefits, There's
Yeah.
a lot of different things out there
Disability,
that we haven't
income
known
replacement.
about,
Yeah. Yeah.
And if we get our kids involved in those type of things and get those things set up, so that
Yeah.
ultimately what we want is we want the next generation to be in a better position than we are. I mean,
Absolutely.
ultimately, that's what we're shooting for. We're
Yeah.
shooting to raise the next generation, because the Bible says a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's
Yes, he
children.
does.
That's thinking not just the next generation, but the generation after that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, but then the other thing is, you can't help anybody if you down, broke, and disgusted, drowning in debt, right?
Yeah.
So you gotta it's like the airplane, right? You need to put on your own mask first, right?
Yeah.
They always tell you put on your own mask first. So you got to put on the mask, and then we can move to helping the next generation, the generation after that.
Absolutely. Yeah, generational wealth transfer. And then, I think that's the thing, Tony, Tony and Michelle, it's verbiage. It's how can we, and I think, you guys have pinpointed some really great words that can be shifted so that it helps that mindset transition and transformation. So when we're talking about, for instance, disability, people just think about, I break my leg, I'm not going to be able to work, some money coming in, it may be like half of what I make, right? But when you talk about income replacement and the possibilities of how you can continue to live pretty much the same life in spite of, if you set yourself up well, then it changes it. Oh, there's a product for me to replace my income. You're not thinking about being disabled. You're thinking about, if something happens to me, yes, that's a part of it, but now I could be straight. And so I think it's verbiage a lot of times that really throws people off. And I really love that, I've been hearing a bunch of different word usage this evening between the three of us. And so one of the last things that I want to talk about as we wrap up, is economic success. So we are consistently going up and down in our economy. We change presidents, we're going to see a shift. We change so many different things, we're going to see a shift. Right now, we're praying about the scenario in Ukraine. Obviously, we saw a shift, right? You talked about budgets, Michelle, and Tony as a great financial tool that many people leave on the table. What I want to talk about just really quickly is the biggest barrier to economic success that you would like to share, that you've seen, that if somebody, you could give them any sort of wisdom or advice to change and do something different, that you would share this evening as we close out. We'll start with you, Michelle.
I would say helping someone break the cycle of living paycheck to paycheck, which goes back to the budgeting scenario and delaying gratification.
Yeah.
So that breaks the cycle of living paycheck to paycheck, because most people live beyond their means and they don't even know where their money went. So to break that cycle is to create some discipline in your life with your money. And then I think the second thing on that is surround yourself with people who will help support you to get out of the situation you're in with love. So just having an accountability partner or an accountability group of people to help you stay on track so that you can break the cycle. It is detrimental that we in our community break the cycle, and that's how we do it.
Yeah, so good. Thank you, Tony.
You're welcome.
Ditto, right?
Easy enough.
Just breaking the chains and images of poverty.
Yeah.
Right. And it starts with a mindset. It starts with breaking that mindset. And, I was just thinking about, they say if you hang around 9 broke people, you're going to be the 10th one.
Yeah.
Well, we have to, the one thing that I was thinking more than anything is educate ourselves.
Yes.
We've got to get educated.
Yeah.
Because if we can get educated, everything hinges on education.
Mm-hmm.
Everything hinges on education. Now you can learn, you can learn by going to school. You can learn. There's a lot of different ways to learn, even hard knocks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Making mistakes. We learn from those things, but I think we have to get ourselves educated
Yeah.
and take advantage of the Kimberly Winborns, the Michelle Mitchells. Take advantage of people that can help us collapse the time in our education,
Yes.
right? That we can collapse that by having these conversations. Money medicine, we need it, right?
Yes.
Take that in and then just allow our actions to catch up with our anointings,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Allow ourselves to get caught up. Allow us that we start to do things that are not in contrast to what we set our goals are and what we want to do.
Yeah.
So make
So
sure that
good.
everything, and do that every day. Every
Alignment.
day, do something to move you towards your goal.
Yeah. Alignment. That's
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Proper
what I
alignment.
heard out of
Yep.
all of that. Yep.
Yeah.
Transformation, alignment. And I have a graphic somewhere that says that, like, it was a picture of a whole bunch of people running from broke. It's like at a cartoon. It's like a whole bunch of people running from broke, and that's the whole concept. If you hang around broke people, then you're gonna be broke. And
Yeah.
so I love that. Yeah. So I have really enjoyed our time together this evening to launch our series for the month of April, Financial Literacy Month, the money medicine. Hopefully, you all feel like you got your dose of money medicine this evening, those of you who are watching. So we're going to continue to be around the table all month long talking about finance. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Ask those questions. You have their information that has been scrolling across the screen. I'm going to continue to share that as we close out. But before I share that again, I want to share that Coffee and Collaborations can be found on YouTube. It's Coffee and Collaborations Media. It can be found on Facebook. It's Coffee and Collaborations. And I would love for you to go and subscribe to our YouTube channel. This is our 4-year anniversary on April
Oh, yay.
2nd. Thank you. We just celebrated 4 years on April 2nd, and I found out when we were preparing to get set up to go live that the Real Money Coach
Yes.
actually celebrated 2 years on April
April
2nd.
2nd.
So how crazy is that, right? So we have to celebrate. Round of applause to them celebrating their 2-year anniversary on April 2nd. And then Coffee and Collaborations, I believe in the month of April we launched, that was in the month of April 2 years ago, we were about to launch Love and Flow TV.
Oh.
And so they were celebrating their launch, and we were about to launch the media company. So we transitioned from radio station to podcast to media company. And so I want you all to stay plugged in. So subscribe to our YouTube channel and then follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Coffee and Collaborations, because we have a lot ahead. And I would love to be able to support each of you in your endeavors. The magazine is going to be launching soon, called the Collaboration Culture magazine. So I cannot wait. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. And so please go and subscribe. But I want you to follow Tony Jackson, the Real Money Coach. Follow him on LinkedIn. Go get his book. I love that. iPad Your Money. I put the acronym in the comments. I love that. Go ahead and follow him, because it's going to be one of the best things you can do around finance. Notice that I when I say that I'm a collaborator, I mean it. We both all do
Absolutely.
finance, business
Yes.
consulting, but we share and share alike. And I've been on his
That's right.
platform just like he's been on my platform. So where you can gain information and education that's going to help you to get to the next level. I don't care if it's through me or if it's through Tony, if it's through Michelle. Just do
Get
something
it.
that is going to change the trajectory of you and your family's life. So write down his information. And then also Michelle Mitchell, who can be found at Mitchell Consulting on Facebook, Instagram. You see everything scrolling across the screen. LinkedIn, go check out her website. Just find out a little bit more about the tools that you have access to. And then if you feel like it, I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't. Go on over at 8 o'clock to the Real Money Coach and check out their show and see what they're talking about this evening in the world of finance. So
come
hopefully
get your second dose. Get your second dose.
dose.
Right.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Okay, let's hear a couple comments as we close out. I really enjoyed this session. Thank you all for sharing. That's Sharenia Branch, who is an absolutely amazing real estate broker.
Ooh.
And then Kenya said, thank y'all. Kenya is one of my co-hosts in Love and Flow TV, the communications expert. Her company is called Word Crumbs. I'm going to always shout out my people now. So thank you all for coming on, and glad that you got something from this. Be sure to share it with some of your network. They can go back and watch the replay and get some tips, tools, and nuggets around finance, because the goal here is to be able to change the life of so many people. We focus on the millions, but what if you just inspire the one? If we focus on the one, guess what? It will become the millions. But let's just focus on eating that elephant one bite at a time. And that's what we can do in our finances too. Thank you for joining. We have enjoyed having you. See you all next Tuesday with another guest who will be around the table giving us some money medicine. Have an amazing night.